Guys, it's Kevin again. This is going to be another movie for you guys, and this movie reviewing, damn this movie. I mean, this is a very interesting movie that I have been waiting a while to watch, definitely. I remember when this came out in theaters, I was going to see it, but I didn't have enough money, and I never saw it, and finally I've gotten the chance to watch it, and thank God I did. And that is a movie that many of you probably have heard of, but don't really know what it is, and that is Nicholas Winding Refn's newest film, The Neon Demon. Now, this is a movie that, like I said, I didn't know much about. In fact, the first time I heard about this movie was when I did that movie preview with, the random Eric. That's the first time when we did the June movie preview and we talked about that was the first time I found out about this movie. And ever since then, I've been very intrigued. Ever since, especially when he described the plot and things like that, I was definitely very intrigued. But I also didn't really know what to expect going in this movie. And holy shit! I mean, I came out of this movie not really knowing what I liked, not really knowing what I just watched, but despite all the weird shit that happens in this movie, I still love this movie. I mean, The Neon Demon is definitely not your typical movie, and I'll talk about that in a second. But let's get to the plot of The Neon Demon, because the plot of this movie seems very straightforward, but let me tell you, the movie is anything but. And the plot to this, now, this is going to be one of those movies where I'm going to do an in-depth analysis. Obviously, I'm going to do analysis about it, but in order for me to do that, I'm going to talk about the review first, then I'll do the analysis part. So let's get to the review. So the movie basically is about this girl, Jessie, played by Elle Fanning, and she is basically seen as perfect. You know, Jena Malone's character sees her as someone who's going to be a big star. She's going to be this huge model. The other models, we can tell, are very greatly jealous of her. They don't really know what's so perfect about her, and they're jealous because of her, how everyone's received and how everyone responds to her, and they're basically destined to destroy her. And basically throughout the movie, Jessie is further plunged into a world of darkness, narcissism, and basically just realizes how disgusting of a business the modeling agency really is. And that's really all I'm going to say, because I need to be as low-key as possible when it comes to description of this movie, because it's honestly kind of hard to describe the plot to this movie. But that's in a nutshell really what it's about. But let's get into this thing overall, because I really do want some of the things I loved. First of all, the acting. Let me just say right off the bat, I haven't actually seen a Nicholas Winding Refn movie all the way through. I've seen parts of Drive. I haven't seen Only God Forgives. This is my first Nicholas Winding Refn movie, and I have to say that I can totally understand why people feel the way they do when it comes to his movies. The acting, I will say, virtually across the board is fantastic. I think Elle Fanning especially was great in this movie. I love the character of Jessie. This is a character that we've seen before, kind of like the star and the person that's perfect and everything. But there's a reason why she's looked at as such a star. There's a reason why she's looked at as someone that's perfect. And there's a reason why she's looked at in the way that she is. And I think the way that she played that part was very good. She's very innocent. She's very naive, and she's very easily manipulated. You definitely do see that, but she's not stupid, and she's someone that doesn't really understand what she's getting herself into. I think she did a very good job. I really love what she did in this movie. She really was fantastic, and I think definitely she was really good. Jena Malone, however, is who I really need to talk about, because holy shit, I mean, the stuff they do with her character, I can't believe they actually got away with, honestly. This seems like one of those movies where you'd hear tons of controversy about it. It would get all of this, restrictions and things like that. I mean, you'd see a movie like The Interview. That movie was banned from North Korea completely. This is a movie that I'm surprised wasn't banned, just solely because of the stuff that Jena Malone does in this movie. I mean, she does some really crazy shit in this movie, but despite that, I think her character by far was the best character in this movie. Her character is extremely fascinating, extremely intriguing, and I really did love the direction they took her character. It was a weird one, don't get me wrong. It was very fucked up, and I obviously am not saying that I like what she did in this movie. I did really love her performance, so I think she was fantastic. I think she did an incredible job, and the relationship between these two is a very difficult one to describe, but I both think they were really great here. I really love the performances that they both gave, and I thought that, like I said, they both were really great. Definitely, I thought they both gave really good performances. Unfortunately, though, like, as good as I think Jena Malone was, one of my only complaints with the movies, I do feel the other characters are very underused. And it's not that they're bad characters, just the movie's so focused on Jesse that I don't really feel the other characters get their time to shine. But then that made up in the third act when you have the characters of Sarah and Gigi, Bella Heathcote, and Abbey Lee, who I believe are real models in real life, and they also did a great job in this movie. And you can just see the jealousy just from things they're telling her to do, things they're saying. I mean, they're clearly setting her up. You can tell that clearly they're just there to ruin this for her because they want to be in the spotlight, and I really love what they did in this movie. I mean, they took that whole thing to a whole other level that I don't really want to get into right now because it's pretty crazy, but I really love what they had to do here. I thought they both were really good. Christina Hendricks was really good here. My one complaint, I will say, is that the one character who I really wanted to explore more was Keanu Reeves, who I thought when he was introduced, I really thought his character was very interesting. I'm like, alright, this guy's very fascinating, what's up with him? I mean, you can tell that there's something weird going on with him. Then they take him in this really weird direction for one scene, and then literally after that scene, they never talk about him again, and that's the kind of stuff that I don't really know why they did. I don't know why they dropped his character. I thought he was actually an interesting character, but for some reason, they just dropped him. I don't know what the reason was behind that, but either way, the acting is very good here. I think they did a very good job, and definitely I will compliment everyone in this movie. But despite all those performances being universally great, and I think everyone just really giving it all when it came to these things, they're not the reason why this movie was so great. They're not the reason why this movie was so weird. It is totally because of its director and screenplay that this movie goes in the weird direction it does. And honestly, as fucked up as Nicholas Winding Refn is, because he has confessed that most of the stuff that happens in this movie is stuff he likes to direct, and I don't want to think about, like, the weird fetishes he has, definitely, because people have talked about that. I really do compliment him for sticking to this, because, again, this is something that could be very hard for a lot of people to get into, and I think the tone here was very well executed. It's a very dark, mysterious film. You don't really know what's going on, and I thought the directing was very well done. I definitely really did love the tone that he had of this movie. I think he set the tone very well here, and I definitely really did enjoy that. But that's not the thing I do want to talk about the most. The thing I do want to talk about the most is the screenplay of this movie, which, oh my god, I mean, I could go on and on about the screenplay, and I will when we get to the analysis, but damn this movie. I mean, the stuff that Nicholas Winding Refn was able to do in this movie is honestly astonishing. I really can't believe that he was able to do this stuff, but I highly compliment him as well for actually going in this really weird direction. Because honestly, as weird as it is, it really does make a lot of sense, and the story I thought was very captivating, even though it got very, very fucked up towards the end and went in this very strange direction that I think will turn a lot of people off. I think that he really did get the message across very well. The movie really does have a lot to say about beauty and, people being eccentric and egotistical and just narcissistic people. I think it really, though, has to do with inner beauty, and that's something I definitely will talk about when we get to the analysis. But I think it's something that he showed very well here. I really got into the story. I thought the story was so compelling, and the more it went on, the more invested I was. Even when it went in those weird directions, I couldn't help but keep watching because I really couldn't tell where this movie was going to go. And that's something I love, is that this movie starts off and you think you know everywhere where it's going to go. You've seen this story 1,000 times, but somehow Nicholas Winding Refn found a way to make it original. And I don't know how he thought of comparing it to the way he did, but it's honestly kind of genius what he decides to do in this movie. Because honestly, the screenplay is really great in this movie, but the cinematography, I think, is really the thing that needs to be commented the most. Because something I loved about this movie is that this is the perfect example of modern visual storytelling, and that is totally what this movie is. And what I mean by that is not just in the sense of the cinematography, which by far is the best I have seen this year, may I just add. I mean, just the colors and the detail in this movie, it's just gorgeous. It's gorgeous to look at. The way we get into this world and the scenes of just, there's some crazy lighting choices in this movie. There are some very vibrant colors. I mean, it's really crazy the way cinematography was done. There are some scenes that are just so well shot. I mean, especially in the third act, probably the most fucked up scene in this movie was still incredible to look at. And again, I can't believe they got rid of, they got away with half of the shit they did. And that's something I really did love. But, the thing I think that Nicholas Winding Refn also did very well here is the way he told the story. He tells the story in such deep metaphors and very deep, type comparing it to things that you really wouldn't have seen compared to before. And I really thought that was interesting the way he did that. Like I said, cinematography here is just gorgeous. I loved it. The score to this movie is hands down my favorite score this year. I mean, I've heard that the scores that, Cliff Martinez does to every single one of his movies are just so fantastic and so great. And the second that we heard the score, I'm like, I'm in love with this. I mean, it's so it's so synth, and it kind of sounds like something out of like a Suspiria or something like that. I mean, just the way the movie was done, I thought the score was so interesting. It really adds the mysteriousness and just darkness and thrillingness to this movie, which this movie really does have you on the edge of your seat the whole time, and that's something I really did love. And I think they did a really great job with that. I definitely really did love the score to this movie. I thought that was very well done. And the editing here as well was really good. I thought the movie really flew by. For me, the movie's almost 2 hours long. Flew by. I was into it the whole time. There wasn't one scene where I wasn't into the movie. There are some things here that I don't understand, and that's really the one thing I will say is that right now, there are some scenes here that felt a bit style over substance. Like I said, Nicholas Winding Refn has admitted that some of the stuff he puts on these movies, he just does it because he likes to shoot these things. Why? I don't know, but I guess the dude just has really weird fetishes. Don't ask me why. He just does. But anyway, I know that because of that, some of the stuff might be very style over substance. But again, this is a movie that I need to watch a second time. I definitely will say that. This is a movie that I think the second you're done watching it, you will need to watch it a second time. And I definitely do comment him on that. This is a movie that shouldn't have that replay value, but something about it just does. It's so captivating, it's so interesting that you just have to get into the story and just sink your teeth into it. And I absolutely loved the way that was done. I think the editing here was fantastic. But to put it simply, like I said, this is not your typical movie in any way. Like, this isn't a movie that I'm gonna go to school the next day and immediately like, yo, if you haven't seen The Neon Demon, check it out now, it's amazing. No. This is not that kind of movie. It's not for people who like simple stories, and I wouldn't really say it's for film buffs either. And why? I'm not a film buff. I don't consider myself that. I really don't. I watch a lot of movies. I like intelligent films, but I'm not a film buff. That's just not really who I am. I'm not someone that just studies film in that way. That's just not really who I am. I mean, yeah, I enjoy movies and I enjoy that kind of stuff, but like I said, I'm not really a film buff type person. I do, however, enjoy very intelligent storytelling. I do enjoy very intelligent type movies, and especially movies that have very deep messages. So if you're someone that likes to focus on movies and thinks movies is something more than just an entertaining purpose, then I think you really will enjoy this movie. But if you're a casual moviegoer, this movie is absolutely not for you. I'll say that right off the bat. You will be extremely turned off by this movie. I think anyone who probably goes to my school would probably think it's weird for me to like this movie, but I really did. I thought it was actually very well done, and I'm not saying that you're stupid. If you don't get the message of this movie, that's totally fine. I can completely understand that. I think it's honestly very hard to get the message of this movie, because it's not really shoved in your face. But now I really do want to get into that part. Let's talk about the analysis overall. If you guys have not seen The Neon Demon, you want to, do not watch the rest of the review. I'm going to talk about everything that happens that I really think needs to be examined. I want to talk about the things that didn't really make sense to me and maybe do have more significance than I thought. So let's just get more into this, because I really do need to talk, because this is just simply not a movie I can just give a score and then say, alright, check it out for yourselves. No, I really need to dive deep into this and talk about the things that really did affect me. So let's just get into it. Okay. So like I said, this is a movie that you look at the plot and it seems very cliche. It seems like a movie that you've seen a million times, and it seems like something that just has been that's so contrived and that you can't make it original. But the way that he makes it original I thought was very strange, because throughout the movie we do kind of get a hint that there's definitely something off when it comes to Ruby, Gigi, and Sarah. Just something about them, we don't really know what it is. You don't know if it's jealousy or if they're hiding something, but you know that there's definitely something off with them. And the second that Gigi and Sarah started telling Jesse all these things to do, I knew somewhere was going on. But the scene that really got me was that scene where Jesse ends up cutting her hand in the bathroom and Sarah just licks it right then and there. That scene was honestly pretty terrifying. I thought that scene was just insane. I don't really know what to think of that. That scene was crazy, but what I really think the movie's really trying to show is inner beauty. Ruby, Gigi, and Sarah were jealous of Jesse because they didn't have that inner beauty. And I'll sum it up perfectly. There's that scene where I believe it's Gigi and Jesse. I got the two confused. They looked very similar to me, so sorry if I get the two confused, but it's Gigi and Jesse. She's talking about all the fakeness on her face and, you know, the fake makeup and like a nose job and even what she did with her ears and things like that. And Jesse says that she doesn't even wear makeup. She prefers natural beauty. And that's totally, I think, what they're trying to show in this movie, is that it's very rare that someone has that natural beauty and that they're able to showcase that natural beauty. Nowadays, a lot of beauty is very manufactured, and that character that Gigi and Sarah are talking to, I can't remember his name, but he says, I believe he says a quote that if you're not born beautiful, you'll never be beautiful. And that's something I think that really does scare them. They feel that they're outnumbered. They feel that they'll never be able to match to her because she's natural, and they know deep down that they're not natural beauty. So they pretty much go into full avenge mode. They want to do whatever they can to get rid of Jesse and make sure that they're the star and make sure that they're not unnoticed, because this is what matters the most to them. They're so corrupted by beauty and fame that they will do whatever it takes to not let Jesse hog the spotlights. And the things they do here are pretty insane. I mean, there's really no other way to put it. The one scene, though, that felt very off to me, as weird as it sounds, and especially because of all the weird stuff that happens here, is the character of Hank. I didn't really understand that scene where he tells her to swallow the knife. What is it really trying to symbolize? I didn't really understand that. I know there's probably more to it, but I just didn't really get it this time around. I feel like a second go around I definitely will. But what I did understand was the ending with this movie. Are Sarah, Gigi, and Ruby, did they actually eat the eyeball? I mean, yeah, in the movie, yes, they did, but I think this is another way of Nicholas Winding Refn doing the visual storytelling. He's comparing an eyeball to what they're willing to do, and them eating an eyeball and them drowning her. They're not actually going to, they're not actually going to eat her. He's not saying that models eat people. That's not what he's saying. It's not saying that all models are cannibals. What he is trying to say is that models who are in the spotlight for so long and who are so just eccentric and essentially, and not eccentric, I mean egocentric and essentially just fame whores, and that's what they're so fixated on, will do anything they can to rise to the top, even as far as to kill someone like Jesse. So for them to eat an eyeball and eat her, just eat her body, shove her into a swimming pool, I mean, these are things that they're used to doing because they want to do whatever they can to rise to the top. And then you have a character like Ruby, who I feel is someone that feels that Jesse's the only person that she sees as natural. Gigi and Sarah, she knows how fake they are, and Jesse, she sees something she hasn't seen before, but Ruby, of course, has that weird death fetish, and that's something else I don't really understand. What's the necrophilia in this movie? Again, I really do applaud Jena Malone for going there, and that scene where she fucks the dead corpse, I could not believe what I was seeing. Like, I could not believe that they actually went there, but at the same time, I was so enthralled by what was going on. I was so into what was going on with her character because I could tell there's definitely something happening there. But that aspect of the movie, I really don't understand. Like I said, what I did understand, though, is that the movie really is about inner beauty and how each of these girls will do anything they can to rise to the top, especially in that last scene where Gigi dies and Sarah's the last one standing. Sarah's the new Jessie. Sarah needs to realize that she's the new Jessie, and she, I think, will probably be never the same again. I think she's someone that's not pure. She knows all the stuff she's done, and I don't know if she's going to be able to get over it, but I love the way the movie ends. And again, I know this isn't the best analysis, but it's the best way you can sum this movie. It's really the only way you can sum this movie, and really, once I watch the movie a second time around, I think I will have a better analysis present to you guys. I just don't really have the best one right now. But either way, guys, I love The Neon Demon. I thought it was a great movie with some incredible messages, some incredible performances, and just some incredibly just daring and just disgusting risks that I couldn't believe they actually went there with. And even though I didn't understand half the shit that happened in this movie, I'm still giving The Neon Demon a 4.5 out of 5 or an A-. I really did love this movie overall, and the only reason I'm not going all the way is because, like I said, I don't understand half the stuff in this movie. I think a lot of the stuff I can't tell if it was supposed to be style over substance, or if Nicholas Winding Refn really was trying to get a message across. I honestly can't tell. I'm going to buy the Blu-ray, I'm going to watch the movie again, and I highly encourage that if you've seen it the first time, definitely watch it a second time. If you made it this far, you most likely have, but this is the movie that has incredible rewatchability, an incredible premise, and just really did impress me overall. And at the end of the day, I can give it to Nicholas Winding Refn for that. I just think that I'll understand the movie a lot more a second go around. But anyways, guys, this is my review of The Neon Demon. Let me know what you guys thought of this movie you have seen, because honestly, I really do want to hear thoughts about it. I could be completely wrong. I really could. I mean, I've gotten a lot of shit wrong before when I've said, oh, the movie's about this, but actually, no, it's about that. Like I said, this is a movie that I'm going to watch it a second time, and then I'll really get to decipher how I feel. If you haven't seen it, however, I don't really know if I can recommend it. Honestly, I don't. I don't really know who the target audience is for. It's just, like I said, pretty simple. If you're not someone who, isn't, you know, into these kind of movies, I don't like to use the word casual movie, I'll say that right now. I don't like to use that word because I think it makes me feel like I'm of higher stature, and I'm just not. To put it simply, I'm just some kid that reviews movies. That's really all I am. I'm not anyone that's a film buff or something like that. Like I said, I'm not someone like that, but either way, like I said, this is not a movie for someone who doesn't like weird stuff and doesn't like to pay attention. But either way, let me know what you guys thought of this movie. Love your thoughts on it. It's really weird overall. That's the best way to describe it. It's just so strange, and that's it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Love your thoughts on this movie, and I will see you guys next week, which will most likely be for the season premiere of Narcos, and we'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.